Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am Elsa W. Smith. I'm the owner of the law offices of Elsa W. Smith. I am your Maryland estate planning attorney. I am so glad that you can join me here today for another episode of Women Winning Wednesdays. I'm really excited about my guest today. But before I talk to you a little bit about her, just as a reminder, we are streaming and using StreamYard. And if you'd like for StreamYard to allow us to see your comments, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Again, StreamYard.com/Facebook. Women Winning Wednesdays. Some of you who have been following me already know, but this was born out of my desire to create a space for everyone, but particularly women, to get glimpses of what an empowered woman is and the tools that she needs to win. And I'm doing that through the guests that I'm going to interview, as well as some other educational content that you'll see as the weeks go by. As you're tuning in, by the way, say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you have questions during the interview, please post them in the comments. Time permitting, we'll be able to address your questions. And if not, you'll be able to connect with my guests offline. So I told you I was really excited about my guest, and she's not only a fantastic attorney, and I've already told you now what she does for a living, but she's also a personal friend. I am so honored to have her on this broadcast. She is the one and only Angela Hansen. She's the owner of Hansen Divorce Law, located in Rockville, Maryland. She comes with over 30 years of advocacy and conflict resolution experience. That's what she brings to her clients. And she not only has a big heart, but she is a tenacious one in the courtroom. She is a true litigator. She fights for people to the end. But she does so with just a big heart, and I cannot wait for you to meet her. Without further ado, and like I said, you're going to hear more about her in a minute, the one and only Angela Hansen. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Attorney Elsa Smith. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm fabulous. Thank you so much for giving us your time and joining us today on Women Winning Wednesdays. It's really an honor and a pleasure to have you here.
Well, it's awesome being here with you today. What an honor. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're so welcome. Angela, I really want the audience to really get to know you. You're so well known, particularly in the DMV. But tell the audience about yourself, like where you grew up, and how you got started as an attorney.
Okay. Well, that's a lot since I'm, closer to 60 than 40.
You look fabulous.
But I am actually a product in large part of the Montgomery County public school system. I'm very proud of that. Moved to Montgomery County at about 6 years old from rural Mississippi, and a huge lifestyle change coming up to Silver Spring. From there, right at the Chevy Chase border. And so I went to elementary school from first grade all the way to graduating from Blair High School. So I am a MoCo child.
I love it. I love it. And what, why family law and specifically divorce law?
Okay. So my background, I came to family law as a part of my ministry, believe it or not. I had been a stay-at-home mom for many years. And in that time, what extra time I had, I did a lot of work with lower income families, PTA kind of work. And then I literally kind of fell into working with women in transition. I did prison ministry for women inside women's institutions for over 20 years now. Um, and the women, bless them, they would get out of prison and they would want to try to get their children back, or they would want to just know where they were. They would have hard times getting jobs. And so I started working with the women just in terms of helping them to move forward. And this work with women in transition, then I started going to court with them when they were trying to see their kids. And not as an attorney, although I had been an attorney since 1993 or 96 when I passed the bar. I was just going as a support person. Eventually, my children went to college. I'm sitting home, kind of twiddling my thumbs, going, now what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And a friend of mine said, "Hey, why don't you think about practicing again?" And I had been a corporate securities attorney, so
I was hoping that you'd mention that, because like how you came from like corporate to family.
Right. So, I mean, Elsa, I don't have to tell you, especially back in the early 90s, as a corporate securities attorney, I I guess it was in early 2000s too. I worked in DC. I was at a large firm. It was the suits, it was the heels, and it was, even though I was part-time, I still worked 50 hours a week, part-time. Paid off all my student loans. It was wonderful, right? Worked for 5 years and could retire. A blessing. So my idea of law was more collegial in terms of, I'm drafting prospectuses, I'm talking to the SEC. We're on the same team.
Right.
And then to get into litigation, it needed to be done, because what I found was that there were people who needed help. There were women who needed help. And they didn't have the money, they thought, to hire the lawyers. They would hear the retainer amount and then they would just go into despair.
But let me interject something, because just from what I know of you and just your vast experience, your clientele, though, I mean, runs the gamut. You're not, I mean, you talk a lot about, of course, the people who are struggling economically and stuff,
right,
but you represent some pretty high net worth individuals, young ladies. So, I mean, just talk to the audience of just about the range of clientele that you have.
So here's the thing, as a woman who really believes in walking in your strength and your authority. So I remember getting out of college and looking at my next steps. And I took a couple years off in between undergraduate and law school. And I thought to myself, do I get my master's in social work, or do I become an attorney? I want to help people. How am I going to help people? And it hit me that, and no offense to social workers, we need social workers, but I wanted to be in a position where I would have enough money so that I could be the change I wanted to see.
Right.
So the idea of, being strapped financially was not attractive to me.
Right.
Right. So yes, I went to GW Law School. I went to GW because I got a scholarship, right? I may have wanted to go someplace else, but I went to where the money was because I didn't want to be stuck with a big bill at the end of law school, right? So again, 5 years and I paid off my law school debt.
Wow.
Working as an attorney, I want to be able to help people. So if I want to be able to help people, that means that I need to make sure that my business is successful so that I can take the pro bono cases that I want, the low bono cases that I want. But my high end clients, that can pay me my retainer and my hourly rate, they help me to facilitate that for those 1 or 2 cases, and they are now just 1 or 2 cases that really need my time and attention. And it wasn't always like that, I have to say. When I started, I probably had a 70% pro bono rate.
Wow. Wow.
Which is no way to run a business, Elsa. I'm just going to tell you.
I know, and I completely understand. But listen, I think that you're absolutely awesome, and I know so much about you, and I just can't wait for the audience to just learn more about you. Tell us, what was it like? Because we have a lot of women who are watching. What was it like? And I'll just keep it real. Just, you have described yourself kind of unconventional in terms of your appearance. Mm-hmm. And although let's be honest, hair and everything, it's, people are much more evolved, although we have a long way to go. And in terms of women and women of color in particular, and the challenges that we face, I was going to say have faced, but we still face in some situations. Not only do we have to worry about being an A+ lawyer, we also have to worry about appearance and whatnot. Right. Tell us, what was that like for you, particularly? You're in Rockville, because Rockville is upper income, higher end, whatnot. Tell the audience, keeping it real, like, what was it like for you, and what made you say, the heck with it, I'm me, and I'm standing in it, in my truth, in my beauty.
Right. And that was, again, you have to make conscious decisions. For me, I made a decision to bloom where I was planted. Bloom where you are planted. And I used to tell my girls who were incarcerated or coming off drugs and alcohol, BWRP, BWRUP, BWRP, bloom where you are planted.
I love it.
BWRP, BWRP, right? So I was in a situation where this is my area. I grew up in Montgomery County. I grew up the only Black kid, XYZ, right? I have a degree in African and American Studies that I designed myself because being so other and having other people tell you who you are was no fun for me. So I was like, I need to know for myself about my people, the children of the diaspora, the descendants of the enslaved people, because I was in Mississippi. So there was a lot of proud, strong, my community was Black. So coming up here to Maryland and finding out that, Black people this and Black people that, I was like, Black people do everything where I came from.
Right.
So when it was time, I'm like, well, why wouldn't my office be across the street from the courthouse? There was nobody to tell me that it couldn't.
Right.
And so, but then when I started going to court and I was the defendant every time I walked in.
Explain, elucidate that for the audience, please, because as attorneys, we know exactly what you're talking about.
In Montgomery County, bless them, I'm obviously well known now, so it doesn't happen. But, when I started, I'd walk into the courtroom, I'd have on this suit. Now my hair has always been natural. It's locked. I don't put any coloring in it. The lipstick is a new addition. Didn't used to. So I would, very natural, pretty low key. So a lot of times the sheriffs just presumed, ma'am, you can't go there. And when I would be trying to go across what we call the bar to sit in counsel's table, ma'am, you can't sit there. I'm like, oh, wow. You see this? You see the briefcase? Do you see the suit? Why would you presume that I was the defendant?
Right.
It happens a lot. Frederick County, The only place, and I love practicing in Prince George's County for this reason. I love going to Prince George's County, where some attorneys don't. I love going to Prince George's County because when I walk in that building,
Yeah.
it's presumed that I'm an attorney. And
Isn't that just a different experience though? Because I know I feel that as well.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, and it's so respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and I tell people this, there's some folks who think, well, maybe I need, the Archie Bunker mentality. I need a good blank lawyer. I need a good white lawyer. I need a male lawyer. And I tell them, that might be an easier path in your mind because of your stereotype. But what wins cases is more often than not, it's going to be the facts of the case and your knowledge of the facts and your knowledge of the law and how you put that together.
And
so that's it. And your reputation.
I was about to say, because now, because you go in, you're a hardcore litigator and you win and you have success for your clients. Do you find that the aesthetics and all that other stuff, is that just secondary now because now they see, it's Attorney Angela Hansen?
It's Mrs. Hansen. Mm-hmm. And I've been in Montgomery County Circuit Court where an attorney that's not well known would make a proffer to the court. And the person on the bench goes, well, I don't know you, but I know Mrs. Hansen. And if Mrs. Hansen says that's how it is, that's how it is, and I appreciate that. There's a reason why you want a lawyer who is more seasoned, and even though I've only been litigating now for 12 years, but doing that with the background as a minister. Did we mention that I'm a minister?
Yes,
who's been ministering in this environment for so long. So when I walked into court as a litigator, they already knew I was a minister because they had seen me, walking in with people before, and it was hysterical. One judge said, Mrs. Hansen, well, you certainly now have all of your bases covered. You're a minister and a lawyer, because most people didn't know that I was a lawyer for the 30 years that I've been out there working in the community, NAACP, parent counsel, and
wow,
it didn't come up.
I want to grab onto the minister aspect, because that's a big part of who you are, your faith, mm-hmm. and how that propels you, like in your practice, like how it guides you. Talk to us a little bit about how your faith influences your practice.
Especially as a divorce attorney, first of all, as a woman of faith, that there's that big question of how can you do divorce law, especially since I was doing family, I was doing adoptions and guardianships and all these things. And I came to the realization that I needed to concentrate on divorce because there are so many people, particularly women of color and women of faith and women in my age group, the 50s, the 60s, who believe that it's God's will for them to stay in a marriage, even though the marriage is unhealthy and dangerous to them, and leaving a dangerous legacy for their kids. Who some are young kids, some are adult kids, but it's like they've been watching this relationship and this disrespect. So for me, the only calling on my life, the only thing that God ever really impressed upon my heart in terms of a calling is to minister to the broken. And I see that. I see that with women who have stayed home, who have, taken lower salary jobs so that they could be home with the children, support their spouses, and then their husbands decide they're done, they want to move on. Why wouldn't I, as a woman of God, want to get in there and help that sister and I always straighten my back because that's what I'm doing. I help them get that back straight so that they can move forward in this divorce process in a way they're gonna end up with some dignity at the end of it, as opposed to, taking advice. A lot of times the the higher income waging spouse will say, well, we need to save money, so you just use my lawyer.
Oh
Like,
dear.
baby, don't do that. We will work out how you can get the money. There are ways. A lot of women don't recognize that they have access to money. Sometimes I just bet on myself. If they're high assets, I'm like, I'll get it.
Mhm.
I'll get the
Right.
money. Let's just go. You do your part, right? I'll show you how you can come up with enough for the retainer. I'll get the rest,
And
right? If I
since we're talking about money, and money makes the world go round, all right, and really does.
you do need it.
Yes, and talk to us about. Well, first of all, let me say that from what you and I are both seeing, divorce can be devastating, emotionally taxing, and financially draining. So it's all those things. So a woman, although I'm sure you represent men too, but since a lot of the people that are watching us right now are women, um, they come to you. What do how do you talk to them? How do you coach them, counsel them about, first, about the money aspect, like what the picture is going to look like for them as they're hiring you, during the process, and then like life, once they
Right,
have a divorce.
right,
Okay. And then the follow-up question is, how estate planning, you talk to them about estate planning and what needs to change.
right, right.
So about
So,
the money. Mhm.
so the first thing I would say to a woman is you need to trust your instinct. Okay, take your head out of the sand. This is just not the time. So when we're talking about money and finances and divorce, if your marriage is in trouble.
Absolutely.
And if you are thinking, yeah, yeah, Angela, I hear you. I'm resonating with that. I know, but I don't know what to do. So the first thing I would say is you need to take stock of everything that you have. You need to do an inventory. You know, what are the finances? And it's okay if you're saying my husband took care of everything.
Right. Because that happens so often.
Oh, so often. Look, I'm in that situation, right? I'm an attorney, but I was a stay-at-home mom for 14 years.
Let me
Do
ask.
you
Let me ask the audience: if there are any stay-at-home moms, or former stay-at-home moms who have like entered the workforce again, let us know in the comments, and let us know where you're listening from. Make sure that you go on to streamyard.com/Facebook so that we can actually see your comments. But Angela, please continue.
Right, right. So PTA would be the first line on the resume. That's what happened to me, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it's okay to just think about what do we have and what don't we have, and you want to the best of your ability, go ahead and set up an account or two at a totally different bank where they
Mhm.
don't know your husband, because a lot of times, we're able to go in and say, oh, Mrs. Hansen, I know you. Stevens, he's your husband, we know him. When we'll just share information, you need to be away from that situation. And you need to be squirreling things away. And we have some, I won't call them tactics, but I have some things that I can share with clients to help them to prepare, to have some money set aside. Because look, divorce takes longer than you think and costs more than you thought you were going to pay. You know, estate planning. Look, if you know that things aren't right in your marriage and you have advanced directives and you've named your husband as your substitute for yourself to make these decisions, but you know things aren't right, do you really want him be the one saying pull the plug or don't pull the plug or do this or do that? Your last will and testament. Yeah, it'll cost you a little bit more, but you need to get a new one done when you're thinking about divorce. You can always tear it up later.
Mhm.
But if you're thinking about divorce and you know that you and your husband had mirror wills, I give you everything, you give me everything, but you know that he's off with Susie Q,
Hmm.
get your head out the sand. It's okay. The Bible says, be wise as a serpent,
Yes.
harmless as doves. Not gonna harm anybody for you to take care of that little business and then put it aside later if things work out. So last will and testament, you want to make sure, what are you going to do about your kids in college? Most of us, unfortunately, we think, it's going to be taken care of. Our husbands are going to take care of it, or we have this or that. You need to decide what you have, what are you going to be able to do with what you have. So I always tell my clients that they need to be looking into estate planning, even though that they're going to have to go back once the divorce is final, if they get divorced, and do another estate plan, guardianship for your kids. Better you to put that in your estate, what you would want the guardianship to look like, so that that estranged spouse who hasn't seen the kids in 10 years doesn't just get to come in and take them without a fighting chance for the person who's been raising them.
Angela, so much of what we're talking about can seem overwhelming, and not just divorce, but the estate planning portion as well. But this whole series is about empowering women, and the message that I think that you and I are both communicating is that there are tools, there are professionals out there, and you do not have to go it alone. And in fact, you shouldn't. I tell people all the time, I run an estate planning firm, but I have an accountant. I have people do my payroll. Why? Because I don't need to wear all those hats. But
Exactly.
you hire people,
Yes.
you hire the
Yes.
people that do what they do well. They come to you when they need family law advice,
Right.
divorce law. If they're
Right.
contemplating a divorce, they go to the people that know what they're doing. Right.
Yeah, yeah. I say that I don't dabble. That's why I do divorces now, and I do custodies, as they relate to divorce and property settlement. Yeah, I no longer dabble. I will send people to you for estate planning. I send people to to the right attorneys
Right.
for whatever else that they're doing, adoptions. No dabbling. And look, our clients and you guys, you deserve to have the best people who are focused on what they're doing, as opposed to folks who do 15 different things. That's my humble opinion. I couldn't do it. I want to give you my absolute best.
So this has really been phenomenal, Angela. And one thing that your motto is that you people may ask you, well, are you just promoting divorce? And what do you say?
So my motto is that I don't promote divorce. We empower women. And I empower women to do what is in their best interest, and we support them in that. So, like, if you go to my website, if I could just
yes, please,
so,
I'll put your
at
contact.
HansenDivorceLaw.com, HansenDivorceLaw.com, we have a gift for you where you can get 8 critical things to think about before even considering divorce. Because I don't encourage divorce. I think that it's best if you can keep your family intact. But if you can't, we want to help you through it. We want to help you through it with dignity.
That's so important. And you have such a big heart, but you're a lioness in the courtroom. So I love I love those two aspects. I love it. Yes, and that beautiful mane, and your intellect, your prowess in the courtroom, all that. You are so well known for that, all over Maryland, and people are blessed to have you. And folks, if you are contemplating a divorce, talk to an expert.
Right.
As Angela says, you may not need to, but you want someone that's going to lay out your options in front of you so that you can make an educated and informed decision on how to move forward. Angela Hansen, owner of Hansen Divorce Law. You all heard how you can get in contact with Angela. And can people follow you on social media? Where can they find you?
Yes, on Twitter, it's H Divorce Law. On in Instagram, Facebook, it's Hansen Divorce Law. Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I am happy to have followers.
Yeah, and you do, and they're growing. You have such a following, Angela Hansen. It has truly been a pleasure to have you on Women Winning Wednesdays this week. You are a joy and you are a gift to the profession. It's an honor to know you, and I'm sure that your clients feel the same way. Ladies and gentlemen, Angela Hansen, divorce attorney, rock star divorce attorney, owner of Hansen Divorce Law. Angela, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Elsa.
Thank you, everyone. Everyone, wasn't that amazing interview? Angela Hansen is really such a gift. It's really a pleasure interviewing her. And if you have any questions, please make sure and contact her. Reach out to her on her website or through social media. And we are going to post her contact information when this video is on replay. Thank you so much for tuning in. I also want to remind you that if you need wills and estate planning advice, I'd like to invite you to reach out to our law firm, the law offices of Elsa W. Smith. We are based in Maryland, but we serve Maryland and DC. You can contact us at 410-995-7719. You can also visit our website at elsawsmithlaw.com. Again, elsawsmithlaw.com. And we are all over social media at Elsa W. Smith Law. I also want to invite you to follow us on social media. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like this video and subscribe and join our growing YouTube community. I look forward to seeing you next week on Women Winning Wednesdays. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland estate planning attorney, saying thank you and have a great week.